Hello everyone, welcome back to another Elegon devlog, and this week has mostly been focused on stability and quality of life changes, but there are plenty of other changes to talk about as well, some really nice additions, and also some news regarding Elegon coming to different platforms. So if you're enjoying this series, do make sure you subscribed if you're not already, and yeah, let's get into it. So just to kick things off with bug fixes and performance improvements, on the client side, we're seeing about a 20 to 30% performance improvement. So that's obviously massive. That's something that I put a little bit of time aside this week just to work on, because I did notice that the client was getting weighted down quite a bit with new features that were being added and things like that. So yeah, take a bit of time, and we've got a lot of FPS gains on the client side now, and yeah, it should be a lot smoother for you guys when you're playtesting. One of the big wins that we've got here is SSAO. I've actually been tweaking the settings there so that we get just as nice graphical fidelity, but with a lot less performance footprint. And I've also added an option to where if you don't want SSAO, you can also just disable that in the settings now. And that is a big FPS boost if you do turn that off. Beyond that, I've also added a bunch of other optimizations just within the Godot engine itself, so hopefully you're going to see the client's running a lot smoother. Next up, I want to talk about a bug that actually got brought to my attention by one of our community members. So that's Headless. I really do appreciate you bringing this to me, and that is a bug to do with the login flow. So he actually noticed a vulnerability on the login flow, and yeah, that's since been fixed. And yeah, it was a pretty straightforward fix, but it was just one of those where yeah, it was nice that was sort of flagged up and fixed very quickly. So yeah, very happy to get that one in. It's still, we're still in the playtesting stage, but it is good to get these systems, especially authentication systems, locked down and secure nice and early so that we don't have any problems later on. So yeah, I'm very happy with the way the login and authentication system is working now, and yeah, it's very tightly locked down. And just following on from the little note there about the login system, I have had a couple of people come and ask me if I have any plans to implement Steam login, and right now I have not implemented that simply because it's not provided with the SpacetimeDB auth that I'm using, but SpacetimeDB themselves have said that they do plan on adding support for this in the future, so when that happens, do expect to see that coming to Elegon. Next up, we've got a bug for the mages. So there was a bug where if mages were casting a spell, they could continue to auto-attack whilst that spell was being cast, which didn't really make a lot of sense, and it made the gameplay feel quite janky. So that's been fixed now. So whilst you're casting a spell, you're not going to be able to do any auto-attack. There's not going to be any damage going through to the enemies until after the spell has been cast and your auto-attack timer has run out. So that's working as intended now, and it should feel a lot less janky. Another nice fix that I've worked on this last week has been to do with the global cooldown system. So this is kind of a big overhaul actually. I've basically rewritten the whole global cooldown system from scratch, and the result of that is gameplay for all the classes feels a lot smoother, tighter, predictable, and yeah, it's just much nicer. So everything runs off this global cooldown system, which is separate from the individual spell cooldowns. So it basically means that you can't spam multiple different spells, and there is this sort of built-in baseline cooldown, and I think it just adds some nice pacing to the gameplay that was really needed. Before, you could literally just spam all your spells that were off cooldown, and then you would just wait for them to come back on cooldown. But now you kind of have to actually think about the order you're pressing your abilities in and prioritize things that way. So I'm very happy with this update to the global cooldown system, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. Right now I've set the GCD at 1 second, but I'm considering slowing that down actually, because I think I'd like to make things feel more intentional. But do let me know what your guys' feelings are around that. So finally, for the bugs, the last thing that I worked on was a little quality of life change, which is I've made it so when you click your mouse, let's say to clear a target or something like that, sometimes that click might be interpreted as a drag if the engine detects that you've moved your mouse even just like 1 pixel. So to fix that, I've made it so you have to move your mouse a couple of pixels in order to initiate a drag motion. Otherwise it will be considered a click. And yeah, the result of that is kind of, it feels more like the game understands what you're trying to do, which is what we want, and it's just less sort of frustrating. Sometimes you'd be trying to clear a target and you wouldn't be able to because the game would keep thinking you're click dragging and not just clicking. So yeah, that's fixed now. Okay, and now on to the additions for this week. So the first one is something that I just mentioned a little bit earlier, which is the toggle for SSAO in the settings. So yeah, we did get the little sort of adjustments to the SSAO settings, but we also have the ability to fully enable it or disable it if you would like to. So next up, I took a little bit of time this week and I've added some more sound effects to Elegon, and I really was surprised at how much of a difference this made to me when I was just playtesting the game. So when you're, let's say, picking up a quest or turning in a quest, those will all have sound effects now. I've also gone through and changed some of the sound effects for the combat abilities, so yeah, tweak those a little bit. But yeah, this is going to be an ongoing thing, adding more sound effects, refining the current sound effects. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this change. And similarly to the SSAO toggle, we've also got a toggle in the settings for enabling and disabling VSync. So yeah, so if you would like to disable it, I know a lot of people prefer to have that option off, then you can do that. If you have any problems of screen tearing or anything, you can flick it back on in the settings. So yeah, just another sort of quality of life addition there. Now, I've also been looking at the user interface of Elegon this past week, and as I say, this is always something that's going to be continuously improved upon, but I did take a bit of time to sort of improve the UI of the character select screen. So now when you see your list of characters on the right hand side, things should be looking a lot more defined and separated and kind of just easier to read. Before it was just using the basic built-in Godot item list, but now I've built a custom scene for this, so it's using that, and I think it just makes it look a little bit more unique, and yeah, it's much nicer. It's a much nicer way of presenting your characters, I think. So do let me know what you guys think of that, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. As well as the UI change on the character select screen, I've also been starting work on the character panel in game. So this is in preparation for all the equipment updates I'm going to be doing next week. But yeah, for now, I've just kind of brushed this panel up a little bit, made it look a little bit nicer. I've added default icons so you can kind of tell what items are supposed to go in what slot. And I've also added a preview 3D render of your character. So this is actually something that I'm very happy about, because I've basically managed to get this 3D render in without any performance reduction. So when I test this on my machine, I don't get a single FPS difference from having this versus not having this. So yeah, very happy with this. And the way I achieve this is I'm using a sub viewport with its own sort of world instance, and the only sort of nodes in that world instance are the nodes required to render this 3D model. And we've also got very basic lighting in that world instance, so yeah, it's very, very cheap to render. So yeah, I'm very happy with this, and as I say, this is in preparation of the equipment system that is coming, so do keep an eye on that for next week. But yeah, just for the time being, hopefully you guys enjoyed the visual improvement to the UI there. Okay, and just to round off the end of this week's editions, I did take a look at getting Elegon on more platforms. So I know a couple of you guys have been using the Windows version on Linux already, but yeah, this week I wanted to get sort of like an official build for Linux out, as well as Mac. So I was spending a bit of time on getting all of that in place, and yeah, I'm really happy with the progress that we've made here. So on my end, I've kind of got a very nice build pipeline in place now for building the project to Windows, Mac and Linux, all with the press of just one button. Godot makes that very easy. Once you've set up all of your export profiles, it's very straightforward. And then from there, I kind of have a Steam pipe set up, which I use to grab those 3 different builds and push them out so that you guys can get the right build for your platform. So that's all working great. Now, as far as I can tell, the Linux version that I've put out seems to be working, so I'm very happy about that. Windows, obviously, that's been working great. Now, for Mac, I've had some feedback where, unfortunately, it seems like when you run the game on Mac, it just kind of like closes instantly and there's like an error code. And it seems like, based off the errors, that the issue is the game isn't signed for Mac. So I think this is something where I'm going to need to enroll in the Apple developer program. Now, do correct me if I'm wrong. I've never launched a game, made in Godot on Mac, but that's my understanding, is that I think I will need to sign the game and be enrolled in the Apple developer program. Now, before, I did actually just kind of assume that because it was being distributed through Steam, I wouldn't have to do this. But yeah, I think unfortunately this is something that I'm going to have to do. So yeah, I do really want to get Mac support out, but that's why that one's sort of lagging behind a little bit. But yeah, if you are on Linux, I hope that you can enjoy the game on Linux now. And as for Windows, yeah, nothing really changes there. It seems to be working great on Windows. And speaking of quality of life additions, I have also implemented basically the #1 requested thing on our user jot, which is auto run toggle. So yeah, now by default, the default key is insert on your keyboard. You can press that key and your character will start auto running. If you manually start to move again, let's say with WASD, or your character dies or something like that, the auto run will stop. But yeah, that was heavily requested, and that's finally in now. And if you don't like that default keybind, you can also go to the settings and remap it to whatever you prefer. So yeah, the updates for this last week have been kind of a little bit all over the place. I did really want to focus on sort of just like one big feature, but I kind of realized that there was a lot of things that I needed to sort of clean up and work on this week. But yeah, next week I really want to be sort of buckling down and looking at the equipment system / loot system. So yeah, you're going to be able to loot gear and things like that and equip it on your character, and you're going to see the stats from that. And I think that's going to really be a big missing piece of the puzzle that's going to make Elegon feel a lot more alive. So I'm really looking forward to implementing that. But yeah, hopefully you guys understand, this week I had to take a little bit of time and implement a bunch of sort of miscellaneous additions and bug fixes just to help the project move forward. Now, before I go, I do want to say a massive thank you to our 2 new Patreons, actually. So we have an anonymous Patreon on the Epic tier, so I just want to say thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. It all helps so much. And then we also have Headless, who I mentioned earlier. So I want to say thank you to Headless for joining on the rare tier. I really do appreciate that. So thank you both very much. And all the support from my patrons. Yeah, it really helps. Especially if, you know, if we're going to go down the path of building for Mac. I think that, you know, that's something that I can definitely use the Patreon support to help me with. But yeah, other than that, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about today. I've spoken about what to expect coming up with the equipment changes, and yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this update. I really appreciate everyone following along with the project and giving your feedback and thoughts, and everyone playing the playtest. And yeah, I look forward to giving you another update in the future. So thanks for watching, everyone, and see you in the next one.